it was through that service that I started to recognize how much it felt good to think about the other problems and other things going on in the world. And it helped take my mind off of my own problems. And then I was able to make family and community in that valley. And I still to this day go and volunteer with that family, and they're super close and dear to me. And then, all the volunteers that I've known over the years too. So I recognize that family is not always blood related, and Ohana stretches far beyond what we think our normal concepts of family are.
All right, everybody, we are back with our next How to Be Human podcast. We have my friend Kelly Potts in the house, all the way from Maui. You're in Maui right now, right?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, so just a little background on Kelly. She is a surf coach. She is most notably known for her work with the Maui Surfer Girls. She's been a surf coach for over 20 years, y'all. Like, that's a lot of time in the water, a lot of time on boards. We will get to that in a second. She's also the founder and the president of the All Are We Water Collective. The collective works in partnership with tribal and indigenous communities on the west coast of the US and in Maui to co-create therapeutic, outdoor, educational, and recreational programs for families. Whew, my goodness, Kelly, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Aw, thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. First I just want to dive into 20 years as a surf coach in the water. Like, how did that happen? How are you still doing it? Like, is it just pure love? Like, what is it?
Aw. I thought it was going to be a job that I was just going to have to make money on, the busy seasons whenever, because I started right out of high school. And then I just kept going and going. And then all of a sudden here I am, 20 years later, like still my profession. I got most epic aqua office ever. And yeah, so now that's my career.
It's so awesome. It's so awesome. Um, How about the All Are We Water Collective? When did that start and what was the inspiration for that for you?
Ooh, man, that one goes a little bit deeper because I guess in like 2010, I had been a surf coach for so long, and I met so many women that had really traumatic surf learning stories. And they were local ladies. Some of them were so traumatized that they never wanted to go in the ocean again. And some of them, they'd had teeth busted out of their face, and it was because some dude tried teaching them. It was like their boyfriend at the time or whatever. And I can't even tell you how many stories of that I've heard growing up here. And so after surf coaching and after falling in love with volunteering, which happened as a youth when I was in high school, I always wanted to try and find ways that I could give back to my Maui community. And I was a surf coach, so that was the way that I could do it. And so I just started providing free surf clinics for women. It was just a once a year kind of a thing for a weekend where they could just come whenever they could make it. And I just wanted to give them like a nurturing, positive surf learning environment. And then those just took off, and it started as like 8 ladies in one weekend, turned into like 60. And then I started getting their daughters going with like little clinics later and started building different programs. But then in 2016, I call it a wild hair went up my ass, and I needed to go just like get off the island. And I took a little road trip. I had this like super beater little Honda Civic at the time that was like super rusted out. Make sure you wash your surfboards before you put them on your vehicles. Anyway, so I was like, it's probably time to upgrade. And I went on this road trip on the mainland and a new used car and ended up like just in so many words, long story, ended up finding indigenous communities as people that I wanted to offer, and it's like kind of broadened my surf giving horizons out on the mainland for indigenous communities. I was born in Oregon. My mom was born in Oregon. I have deep roots in the Northwest, and my dad was a surfer. And I had an uncle of mine got bit by a great white shark in Cannon Beach. So I have like this, history in the Northwest. And so that place just struck a chord with me. And I remember growing up there as a little girl, watching my dad surf, but I was mostly just like playing in the water and the estuaries and stuff. And when I went back in 2016, because I hadn't been there in like nearly 20 years, when I went back, I was like, yeah, just overwhelmed with a lot of nostalgia. And so, anyway, started offering clinics. By that time, I was getting sponsorship money. I needed big funding to be able to make this stuff happen. And my sponsor at the time, Prana, was giving me enough money to make these events happen. And so I was getting funding as like an independent contractor, and realized that's a lot of taxes to have to pay doing charitable work. So then obviously that was the next step, was starting a nonprofit. And so, yeah, that's that whole story in a nutshell.
Holy guacamole.
Yeah,
Well,
a lot.
that's amazing. And you mentioned Cannon Beach in there, which is where I'm from, and that's
Oh,
where
no
I
way.
yeah,
Oh,
totally.
no way.
Yep. And that was one of the things that I remember when I first met you. I mean, I know you've met a ton of people, but for me, when I went surfing in Maui, was I wanted a female instructor, and there was something about that that made me feel safer in the water. And like with all the women that you've taught how to surf and whatnot, like how what have you learned? Like, what is it? Is it nurturing? Like that helps them feel empowered, to do this very active sport in the water. Like, what have you learned over years doing that?
Well, oh, mm. There's kind of like me before an instructor, or I guess as I've been instructing, and my personal surf learning experiences, just learning on my own, and all the really positive ways that surfing has helped me in my life. And then, like, as an instructor, being able to see kind of similar life stories, playing out before my very eyes with my students. All the life lessons that we get to learn through surfing. And I think, like, the one thing that I really love right off the bat is just feeling someone's um, their energy level right when they get to a lesson with me. Like, they show up on the beach, and everyone deals with their nerves and their anxieties in different ways. Some of them express it in anger, some of them express it in a lot of jitters, and a lot of excitement and positivity. Some are really closed off and quiet, and it's just really cool to be able to let them know that all of those ways are perfectly normal ways to feel, before going out and trying something like potentially seriously nerve-wracking, and it can be really scary. So it's nice to be able to let them know that, hey, I've got 20 years of surf coaching experience now, and you're in the best of hands. I'm a floating lifeguard and a floating therapist. Double
Literally.
check. And not only that, I love to have a great time and show you how to have a good time and use the ocean as a way to just express and to be healthy and be outdoors and all the great things. I don't even
That's
know if I
so
answered the question, but
I mean, yeah, it does. And that's so awesome. Like getting women connected with nature and kind of bridging back to the All Are We Water Collective and expanding your offering to indigenous women. And I don't know if it's, full families or whatnot, but um as you were oh shoot, I just lost my thoughts. So
no, it's good. I like the female aspect that you keep bringing into it, and that's what I've been offering for all these years. And I'm doing the programs differently this year, where I'm gonna start offering them for families. But in the past, since they've been all women, I've had some really cool stories of like three generations coming to learn how to surf together. So there's like granddaughter, mom, and grandma, and they all got to learn how to surf
wow.
named my daughter.
Wow.
It was so precious.
That's really special, really special. Giving them a moment to connect and do something together and experience like that. I guess where I wanted to go was like, what are you offering this summer? Like with your programs, like what's out there and where are you gonna be this summer?
Well, I'm awaiting funding to see if we're going to be able to pull this off. I know it's like everything's up to the last second. So, yeah, if all goes well and we're able to make it happen, then we're going to offer COVID safe smaller groups this year. Usually, my events are like big beach festival styles where we have like tents and giveaways and music and a huge community of people. I think we've had over like 100 people show up for one event, not participants. We'd have like 30 participants and then 15 volunteers and then all the families that come out to watch. And, they're usually like before COVID beach festivals. So I wanted to make an offering this year that would allow more surf opportunities for the community. So it's not just a 1 day thing to be able to see if we can, at least for a week long, offer lessons every day, a couple times a day. And then that way we can have smaller, more intimate groups and more one-on-one, professional surf coaching attention.
Cool.
And yeah, so, and then also this year we want to offer it for families and not just girls and women. As the name says, all are we. Without you, there is no me. Without us, there is no we. So that's something that I want to like carry forward moving on, moving into the future with these programs, is to be able to offer for everybody and not just girls and women, because we all need love and attention that way. And I want to give love to the guys, the girls, the everybody in between, just everybody.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. Okay, well, fingers crossed the funding goes through for you. And I will link below to the All Are We Water Collective so people can just see where you're at, what you're up to, what events are going on this summer, and how they can support, if anything.
Thank you
So
so much.
cool. All right. Well, we're gonna rock and roll into the how to be human questions. Are you ready for this, Kelly?
Oh boy. Well, disclaimer, I don't claim to have any advice for anyone on how to live their life. I don't know if it can be any like help, but I can tell you from my life experiences and my stories, and that's all I can offer.
That is the best thing, heartwarming, and, I would say right off the bat, it shows your humility for being a human, and we all are, and we're doing the best we can here, and we just wanna learn what it's been like for you, the people you see, the experiences you've had. That's it. Sound good?
Yeah, totally.
Cool. Alright, Kelly. How to be human. What to you is the best integration of humanness?
Uh, all of my answers, because I already prepped. No, community. Being in a community, I feel like that's the best and only way for me to experience being human and integrating humanness into my life, is to be more engaged with my community.
So for you, is community like the places that you live? Is it the people and activities that you interact with? So like other surfers, other water sport folks? Is it the people who contribute with you to All Our Water Collective? What's community for
All
you?
of those things, yes, but just like as a human on the planet, we're all one big community, on this planet. And um, anytime that we are able to reach out, to be able to connect and see another that's in on this planet and engage in some way or another, that's building community and just being able
Cool.
to recognize. Yeah.
Cool. Do you feel like is it easy for you to feel community like living on an island?
Hmm.
I've never lived on an island, so I don't know what community feel is like, especially with lots of visitors, friendly visitors and maybe not so friendly visitors. And then when you travel to the mainland, do you feel community immediately when you come over to the mainland? Is community just something that lives with you?
Hmm. Those were a lot of questions in a row. The first one is community on Maui. I think that's where I learned the meaning of community. And I'm just going to tell a story about it. And uh, it all started. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, basically, I was having a rough childhood in high school. Going to high school here on Maui, I came to live with my father when I was 14 and had a really rough time integrating with him. And it turns out he was really toxic to have in my life, and we're no longer talking. And so I didn't have any family here outside of, my blood family, which I didn't really want to have anything to do with here, and just my father's side. I love my mom and my whole other, blood related side. And so that was the struggle for me. And I had this couple that was a little bit older than me, and they lived in my dad's cottage. He had like a separate unit. We called them Ohanas, and it was, right next to his house. And so I would always go and hang out with them because they were a surfing couple and super rad. And I remember just like being all woe is me as a teenager, like life is rough. And the gal said, "Hey, have you ever tried volunteering before?" And I was like, "I don't know what that has to do with my problems and how to make it better, but I trust them." And so she said, "Just look up one volunteer project and go and help out." And so I did. And it absolutely changed my life. And from that experience, which we let's see, it was with Honokawai Stabilization Project. It's one of the most archaeologically rich areas on Maui. Just has like the most archaeologically rich evidence in this valley. And it just got taken over by sugarcane and just kind of left or just kind of forgotten about. And so this family came in and stewarded the land, and we've been clearing out oh, tons of weeds and sections of it, and reclaiming that old Hawaiian farming valley. So they used it as a farming valley. And it was through that service that I started to recognize how much it felt good to think about the other problems and other things going on in the world. And it helped take my mind off of my own problems. And then I was able to make family and community in that valley. And I still to this day go and volunteer with that family, and they're super close and dear to me. And then, all the volunteers that I've known over the years too. So I recognize that family is not always blood related, and Ohana stretches far beyond what we think our normal concepts of family are. And then, being in the surf communities growing up, it's been really beautiful to, like, when we were young, we did a bunch of contests and stuff together. And at all the contests, we see all the same families hanging out, and that still happens to this day. Now all the kids that I went to like high school with now have their families, and now they're all surfing. And so our lives are really just based around like, whenever the surf is good, we're there, and we look out for each other when we're in the water. And we just love each other, and we're all family. So I love to take that sense of family and that pride in our community and bring it with me wherever I go, and make sure that other people know that I see you and I'm looking out for you, and we take care of each other.
I love it. Community intertwined with all your different communities and bringing it to the people that you just meet. Like, that is so awesome. And how lucky are you to have that woman who's in her husband, whoever her partner stayed in that Ohana, to let you know, like, that literally is one of the most impactful things that you can do is somehow serve in your life, and to learn that at such a young age when you're going through something that gave me chills.
I know. I have a photo. I have a photo of them. I love them so much. This is them. Ugh.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, they just look epic. Oh my
Yeah, you talked
gosh.
about Australia, and they like immigrated to Australia recently. They're so cute.
That's
They met
so
all those
awesome.
guys.
New Ohana in your Ohana. How cool. Perfect. Okay. Kelly, how do you think that we can, if community is one of those things that brings us together and being of service to others, how do you think we can intentionally engage all humans to be more human, to be more involved with their communities, to be more of service?
How can we, sorry, one more time. How can
How
we
can we intentionally engage? They're big words. I'm a
engage?
writer. I love to do it sometimes, but I'll make it easy. How can we get people more involved with their human aspects of just like being kind and compassionate and
Oh yeah, I think starting to recognize needs, starting to recognize people's needs. Those are some of my favorite people on the planet that just you don't even have to ask. They see it and they're there. Those are the solid people I feel like on the planet that that's like a really special rare gift to find anymore. Someone who's willing to just set everything down that they have going on to be able to lend a helping hand when it's needed. And I totally respect and honor, not giving too much of ourselves because I know that that can be something that we struggle with too. But I guess I should take responsibility for my own language. Sometimes I struggle with. But yeah, as much as I can, if there's like something that needs to happen, not to be lazy and not to try to put ourselves first, but just to honor and help out our family and our community.
I love that. And I love that you acknowledged in there that we might also have a tendency to give too much sometimes and how to I set a boundary of like, there's a percentage or there it's almost like right time and right space of, when to give, how to give when somebody's in need and like being in touch with what that is and knowing when it's too much or knowing when you might need to pull back for yourself and give to yourself. That's a really interesting balance to
Like
learn.
one of the most easiest things I can think of is like, oh, my friend is carrying this heavy thing. Like, I can go and help her carry that heavy thing. Easy, you know? Or, wow, like my friend's wiping stuff off. I'll pick up some items and they can wipe under, like just little things like that too. It doesn't have to be anything like full emotional give.
Totally, and it's like that little extra step, like you see what the next thing that's going to happen, just like swoop in and like help
Yeah.
out a little bit. And it does, it feels different.
Mm. I
To
think that's where I feel the most human is when I can offer help and then just feeling that engagement and how we can collaborate and how we're working together and flowing together and to make the situation better. That's when
totally.
it's the
Yeah,
best.
it's like almost like dancing too, like you step in, you pick up the thing, they wipe underneath,
Woo!
and the same step, you set it down, and then you turn around and they've opened the door for you, and like you're like doing this like life human dance together.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that.
So help out, be of service, community, and in your words, not make it too big. Like it can be simple, simple stuff, for people and your friends. So to you, Kelly, what do you think are the best examples of being human? Is there anybody in your life that you're like, I learned a lot from this person? Like who would those people be? And what are their practices that you've looked up to or learned from them?
Oh man, right away, my friend Gina Mills is sticking out my mind. Every time she walks into a room, I want to cue that song, Send Me an Angel. Do you know that song?
Yeah,
An angel. Because she like, I can imagine her coming in with her little wings and like her halo. But she is the ultimate person to see the needs, whatever is needed. She's already 10 steps ahead. So like even before I can even think about it, usually before I even think about it, and then I'm like, aha, she's like, I'm already on it. I already did it. I'm like, but you didn't even hear it. No, I already know what you're gonna say. No, she's like that far ahead. But I think she's the one of my shining examples of how to be human because not only does she see all the needs and all the ways that everyone can accomplish the goal together. She's just one of the most giving people. Um, with like such a shining bright spirit who um, I feel like the kind of people that no matter what the situation is that we're going through, like if there's any kind of negative, challenging, like some crazy big obstacle that's going on, people that can keep like this really positive, like I don't know, just like everything's gonna be okay kind of mentality. Like she's that kind of gal that I just feel like no matter what happens, like we're gonna have good humor about it and we're gonna make our way through it. We're gonna like stay cool, calm, and collected, and we're gonna make it through. Like with each other's help, everything's gonna be all right. So I really like admire her. She's definitely one of the shining examples of someone that is very human.
Shout out to Gina Mills, my goodness. And I
Yeah.
think one of the key words you said in there was humor, you know, like for situations, whatever situation we're going through. And kind of what I thought of too was like, it's not one of those like, patty positive, rah, 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 all the time. The kind of person that resonated for me when you were speaking about that, who's, constantly able to face challenges. Well, they bring humor into it. And it's like their belief or their knowing that it's gonna be okay, we're gonna figure this out, comes from a deeper place almost, like, and that's what I can feel is like that movement of it's gonna be okay, we're gonna laugh through this. I'm not patty positive, but we're gonna be positive, and let's do this together. Let's churn it. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going.
That's
um
it. That's it.
Nice. Well, Gina Mills, I hope I get to meet you someday because you sound amazing.
Yes.
Is there anybody else that comes to mind for you, Kelly?
Oh, there's so many. I mean, Dustin Tester, she's the owner of Maui Surfer Girls, and she constantly shows me just how to stay in a constant state of wonderment, to just be blissfully and altogether present in so many moments, to try and pick up on all the feels happening in each moment and, like collect that, sit with it, recognize it, honor it. Um, and yeah, I mean, she's been just one of my greatest mentors and just showing me how to embrace my own power to do the things that I want to achieve my own goals. And but most of all, I think she makes me feel like when we're engaged in conversation, there's absolutely no one or nothing else going on around me. Like I'm the center of the universe. And that quality makes me feel so recognized, like I feel, I don't know. It's just it makes me, I don't know, what does it make me feel? I want to be that. I want to be that person that can make anyone feel like they're the center of the universe. I want to be that person that's like, I see you.
There's
I,
there's something special about those people too, that being able to let other people be seen in their presence. That
mhm,
like I don't even know that you can describe like how can you describe that feeling? It's just like you know it when somebody is do it's not even something they can do. They're like just fully present with you and
mm,
like
that's the
deep
one.
feeling seen.
Yeah.
Those are special humans and special humans to aspire to. I don't even know how you gain that skill other than just being fully present and opening your heart when you can and, saying the things that you need to say. But wow, what special people that you have in your life.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty blessed.
Sounds like it. Okay. Well, let's move on to the next one. You got those were amazing examples. Um, What do you, Kelly? This one is a little bit long. I'll warn you at first. So if we got to break it down,
Okay.
I'll chop it up.
Okay.
What are easy reminders to be more human when some around us are walking and talking a little less human, perhaps more programmed, conditioned?
Hmm. Well, like I said before, I don't want to tell anyone how to live their life. So I feel like for me, um, say the question one more time.
Absolutely. What are easy reminders to be more human when some around us are walking and talking a little less human?
Oh yeah. Um, some reminders. Hmm.
It's like if somebody's like almost like dragging you down, you know, it's not your friend Gina who's like able to turn a situation into something resilient. They're like, oh, this will never work, or, you know, not believing in something. And,
Like
you know, how do
reminders
you,
for
yeah,
myself to recognize when someone is not being.
yeah, like what do you do for yourself to remember if Gina's not there and somebody's pulling you down? Like, what do you do to like stay above it or to help other
um,
people stay above it?
well, I may seem very sweet right now, but I have a very big fuck it mentality too. I know when to say fuck it and when I don't want to be around someone. So I know how to disassociate and do the big timeout and steer myself away from toxicity like that.
Boom.
Um, but then there's also my favorite trick, which I want to learn this. No, no, no. I want to practice this sometime. This may have nothing to do with what you were talking about, but it's a great thing that I want to try and practice. And that is, um, I had this running joke with some of my coworkers that I teach surfing lessons with, and we were talking about like territorial surfers, and how like there's those territorial surfers out there. They're kind of dicks, they're not very nice. They don't have a very nice reputation, right? And I was like, anytime someone gets territorial with me now, I'm just gonna bring him to the beach, pin him down, and tickle him. Just tickle him to death. And so my buddy, who I work with, he's sober for years now, and now he's a sponsor for other recovering addicts. And one guy was freshly sober, and he was having a rough time, very big struggle day for him. But good thing my buddy was there to say, because the guy was getting pretty aggro on him. He wanted to kind of fight my friend, and then my friend pulled off the tickle trick. He said, don't make me pin you down and tickle you. And it squashed it like that.
I
I don't
love
know. Maybe it's a tickle thing. Maybe we just need to like threaten
maybe
tickle.
it is.
Someone just didn't get tickled enough and they're a little.
Oh my gosh.
I guess that would be one solution. But how to recognize it, like to remember that we don't have to deal with, people that aren't jiving in that way, we can I always feel weird talking about we and you. I can only take responsibility for my own language, and for my actions. But yeah, I definitely don't want to put much energy into people that don't want to put energy into themselves. That's a that's one that's like a no brainer for me. And then I'm gonna read over those questions again.
That's okay. So it sounds like you lay down the gauntlet, you know, if there's toxicity involved, you know how to set a boundary. Boom. Fuck this. Done. And
Yeah.
then I love your idea about like a tickle fest, you know, like that it reminded me actually of like when I was in high school, perhaps like a freshman or a sophomore, and there were just these boys that just kind of like gnaw on you each day, you know, not quite a bully, but like, you know, just like little meanie heads kind of thing. And
Meaning.
I learned this move just because like I started doing it was like I would face them and I would be like, I really like you. And they would turn immediately and like what? And I would start saying all the things that I could think of that I enjoyed about them. Of like, I really like your blonde hair. It's really beautiful. And
Oh,
like the turn of it, I can't tell you how many times it worked to just
wow. So young and so wise.
I don't know. I had to do something to deal with it because it was
Oh,
like dragging me down. So and I learned that it worked. So I was like, all right, well, I guess this works. Not quite a tickle fest, but like without getting that close.
yeah, totally. The inside tickles. Those are
Yeah.
good.
I love it. I love it. It's like, I don't know, maybe it's just like turning the energy, you know, and just not dealing with it. And um that question comes from, dealing with people with different viewpoints that are perhaps not compassionate about expressing them or communicating in a great way of like, nope, this is the only way it is, kind of thing. So,
Mm.
um, thank you for your answers for
Oh,
that. And Tickle
aw.
Fest, I'll keep that one in my back pocket.
That's
Cool. All right.
it.
All right, this last one, it's another doozy. So if we got to dissect it, all good here.
Aw.
How do we? I'm going to use the you, me, we. It
Mhm.
will, and we can break it down. But how do we reconcile where we are with where we want to be with grace and ease?
Oh, yeah. Um, wow. I don't know that I need any reconciliation for that. Um, do I need reconciliation for like things that I want to do that I haven't done that I'm not doing in the present?
Well, I mean, if you're moving towards a goal or there's something you want to accomplish or um you know, there's a skill that you want but you don't quite have it yet and things would be better if you had that skill.
Okay.
How do you be kind to yourself in the process of, practicing or working towards whatever the skill is or whatever the thing that you're moving towards because it's something that you need but not acting like you lack something without it until you get it. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah, I think I've been doing a good job of practicing resistance to the white man's regime through rest and not giving fucks. Actually, but sorry for using my language. You can keep it out.
that's
Beep.
okay. I
Out.
can I
Keep it
can
out.
believe it.
Um, yeah, I've been recognizing the ways that white supremacy dominates every fabric of my life, every single thread, and the more I recognize it, the more that helps me recognize um, and all the ways that and all the ways that it dominates. So like having to rush, always trying to be productive, trying to be better, um, like always looking to the next thing. It's like all these ways that we always have to constantly be better. And I've just blown the cap off of that and I don't really care anymore. So if stuff doesn't happen, like that's okay. That's not a part of that path or that journey. So I'm just now just like taking it one breath and step at a time and listening to my now. My now is my gut instinct. That is my moral compass and my guide in life. And so if that doesn't feel right and it's not resonating, um, no matter how much I might want something, it's not the way, it's not the path, and I have to listen to that. Um, and so, yeah, I think I've been practicing enough of that now that I don't even have funding to run these programs this summer. I don't know if they're even going to happen. And they're supposed to start a month away. And I'm really okay with it. Like whatever is going to happen is exactly what needs to happen. I'm putting work into it. Doesn't mean that I'm not trying to actively make things happen. But if things were to fall through, that's okay. And I think that would be my reconciliation is everything's okay. It's gonna be all right. No matter what happens. Just keep moving and breathing and being in the moment. But I feel like now that I've been working on that and like recognizing the ways that the white man's world has taken over my life, um, I've been able to like slowly let go of my stress and my anxiety and my worry, and um, I can live more happily in each moment, breathe a lot easier in each moment, and um, life's gotten a lot better that way.
I love that. It's like it's instead of waiting for the world to recognize you as an empowered human, rather than, the white man in power.
Mhm.
You're living it now. You're living it as if in the world rather than, waiting for it to happen. And then it's almost like you've collapsed time and brought everything into the present moment of now. And,
Good. That's really good.
and what's meant to happen, you're like, it almost sounds like I don't know if surrender's the right word, but allowing. You're like allow it sounds like, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, just from what I heard there, like allowing yourself to rest is a protest. And you don't need to reconcile anything because you do live with grace and ease. So this question doesn't even quite apply to you. And I guess my only question to that, Kelly, then would be, how did you get to this space? How did you learn to rest? What helped you, turn this corner and be like, you know what? I don't know how this is going to work out, but I'm going to keep moving towards it, and I'm going to trust the process. I'm going to trust what's going on here. How
I feel like the first time that I recognized my now or learned about it, and then recognized that that's how I've lived so much of my life. And I don't know if that's just because I'm a Scorpio or if I am more introverted. Like I don't know what it has anything to do with. But that was like one of the first times I volunteered, and we were in the valley, and it was like after pulling weeds for hours, and we take a break, and the my Hawaiian family up there telling me about the na'au, and being able to recognize significant thoughts as they happen, and to grab them and to sit with them, recognize them, and let them go. Um, and so I think that was the first time that I recognized those feelings, and then I recognize that that's the power within me. That's my compass, to navigate life like I know I need to. And then I think when I started recognizing how white supremacy has dominated my life and every single person on the planet's life, pretty much, um, was at Temenos Rising. I work for this retreat company called Temenos Rising, and this one cute little white lady came up to me one day and asked me if I wanted to do this, surfing retreat with her, and that it's more like intentional and like intention setting and more therapeutic, kind of outdoor retreat. And I was kind of like, oh, I don't know about this, because I've been around so many spiritual type people that don't they talk big game, but they don't walk big game. And so it's almost a trigger for me when I hear people, spitting spirituality, because I don't see them walking the game. So I was like, well, let's see what you got, lady. And I was blown away. That was one of the first things that she calls out when we open up our like have our opening circle, is she calls out white supremacy, and recognize all the different ways, like I mentioned, how it dominates the way we move through this life. And so that's when I really learned about that. And then just, yeah, the na'au, and then resisting the white man's ways. Those have just been like hand in hand. They work well together. So yeah, I
Wow.
don't know. It's been really helpful for me. I don't put the pressure on myself anymore to like have to achieve, and just kind of let it go.
Wow, I love it. Do you just one last question. I thought of this. You're a surfer, so you have to know what the tides are doing. Do you keep yourself, like on time for the tides? Like you can't just be like, I think I might get in the water now.
Yeah. Oh, I'm definitely not like some whimsical, like, well, we'll just see how the day goes. Like, I do stick to schedules. Yes, I actually do keep a time check. I'm actually very punctual human being. Like I'm just like, oh fuck it, we'll just see like how the day goes. Like maybe I'll show up for work. Yeah, no, I do actually I have a responsible side, and I know I like to be responsible. But yeah, when it comes to just like those little extra pressures, I don't. I just, it's gonna be the way it's gonna be, and I just put my good intention foot forward. But what was your question? Say it one more time before I
Well,
lose it.
you answered it though. You said you don't have to reconcile anything, but I'll read it one more time. How do we reconcile where we are
Oh
with
no,
where
your last question,
oh,
the one that you just made up. What was that one question? Sorry.
like do you because you flow so much with your day and
Yeah,
you're a surfer and you need to know what the
the
tides
time.
are. Yeah. So
Okay,
like
cool. Bringing it back. Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. Yeah, I definitely do like to plan life around the tides a lot. I mean, especially for our for like the women's surf retreats, like whenever we have camps and stuff, like we'll have a schedule, but we usually will have to like change up the schedules depending on like the tides and the wind. And so we just have to flow like the ocean and the water and just kind of go with whatever is right in those moments and not fight against it, right? Like can't fight against that flow.
The tide is the time. That's
Yeah,
the
the
most
tide is the time.
important. I love it. Kelly, thank you so much for showing up today and letting this happen. And, we flowed to make this happen. We rescheduled a couple times, and I'm so glad we were able to connect today. And
Oh,
thank you for, thank you for sharing your stories. We got to learn so much about you. And I want to just send some good vibes out into the universe. Anybody that hears this, for you to get your funding for your All Are We Water Collective experiences this summer, that you can make those happen because you're helping so many great people who need to get in the water, and you're a wonderful instructor to help them do that. So
Indigenous representation matters.
there you go. There you go. We'll link to it in the down below if anybody wants to take a look or contribute and whatnot. And that's all we've got today.
Thanks for having me, Laura. It's so good to see your face.
Thank you.